And now, the Kill or Be Killed podcast with Damian Ross, founder and master instructor of the Self-Defense Company.
So what is going on?
Oh man, you know what? I've been surfing social media the last little bit because I haven't been feeling too well, and of course I see your ass fucking signing books there like a superstar. What's going on with that?
Yes, you got to you didn't leave your review yet.
But you know what? I went to leave a review, and I mean, this is so pathetic. So I went to Amazon. I set up because I have an account with Amazon, but I haven't bought shit from Amazon.com. I bought from .ca. So they won't allow me to do a review because I haven't spent more than $50 on Amazon.com in like the last year.
Holy shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah. I read that. It's like, yeah, you're not eligible to leave a review. I'm like, wow, go fuck yourself.
Oh my god, I didn't think that was a thing.
So I'm leaving my review here. The book is fucking awesome. I love it.
Thank you.
It is.
It's actually. Thank you very much, man. Yeah. So, what'd you like about it?
I like the fact that it's real, right? I mean, you covered all the necessary shit that needed to be covered, right? You didn't have to really hold back, which was great.
Right. When they let me have a whole section on how to squeeze the balls. What I was upset, and maybe if we do another thing, I'm going to do a book. I've thought about it after because I kind of got thrown off, but I should have done a book reading a section like the author does. And that's what I wanted to do is to read how to seize the testicles properly section. It was shit. Like, it was great. Like Angela put it together with some close friends from town, and they're basically my friends, locally. And some of the guys that obviously were in the book. Pete was there, Steve was there, Roger was there.
Yep.
And it was like what's been going on. Angela's mom has been in the hospital. She's not doing great. She's old, so it's we're preparing. So she's going back and forth all week, between there, and trying to get this thing ready and all this other stuff. So it was like crazy for her. I had no clue it was happening. So I said, like, so much for awareness.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I thought that was great. But, I mean, I got to say that book was the way they put it together was great. Like, it really.
The formula works.
And I was swatting the bob with the book too. It's got a little weight behind it too, so it makes a great weapon.
They said that's the beginning how to use this book. I'm like, you can use it and they were hysterical. And they said they let me be me. And what was nice about it is because I had a writer. When I say writer, he I'd hand him, a chapter that'd be 50 pages. And then he would go in and just kind of craft it down until it read correctly. I mean, all my words just rearranged and then put in. So we go back and forth. So the process was this. I would write a chapter and I'd be I proofread it 3 times. I give it to Angela. She give it back to me. I read it. I hate it. I send it to him. He redoes his thing. He sends it back to me, and I freaking love it. I can read it. I would go through it, And we also had another editor who was not Joe seemed a little bit more savvy as far as self-defense. So he knew what I was doing conceptually. But what was good is I had another a woman, coincidentally, who was didn't have any experience in it. So it was a female perspective with no experience. That was what does this mean? Explain this better. Because I would use a term like getting in. And for us, getting in is getting past their initial defense, getting into their center line. So I had to really spell that out. The other thing that I ran into was that, I have a tendency to, we're teachers, right? So if I'm referring to something previously, I restate it. So they're no, go to chapter 6, page 5, right? Whatever. So yeah. I'm oh yeah, we can do that. So anyway, so you continue. I mean, your impressions on the book, because this is important to me. I mean,
I don't even.
I know,
Dude, I've been with you since fucking 2011, right? So it's nothing new. It's nothing new to me, but I mean, it makes me take a step back to kind of think about the new people who are reading this for the first time, who haven't, kind of been exposed to the self-defense company, been exposed to the self-defense training system. Right. And I mean, it reads simple for people. Like, it really is, for dummies. Like, there's no complex shit. There's no, again, we take the martial out of everything, right? And it's the same thing in the book. It's real, and it's nice to see a real book out there without all the other fluff and bullshit that goes with it. Right.
I think what happens with a lot of guys that write their own stuff without professional writers, they kind of get into the weeds a lot with stuff. Yeah. And you have a tendency to be writing to, like someone who would be like trolling you.
Yeah.
Right. So you'd be like, well, the science, you get this, you got that, and you got to get into this. And to somebody who really doesn't give a shit, and it's like, I don't know why you're, what we're doing here. And then all of a sudden you put the book down, Yeah. So,
and I think what you're saying there is actually a really good way to explain it, because when we try to educate people, it can almost come across like defensive, like you're trying to defend your system in a way, right? But with the book, it's not like that at all, right? It's just here it is, right there. This is the information. It's not. It's from your perspective, but it's not from your perspective, if that makes sense, right? So,
right. Well, the format of the book is such where they have a formula, right? So they're like, it has to be this. You got the parts of 10, you got that, and they would be like, they would give me stuff and tell me, oh yeah, you need something for this. So I'm like, okay, and then, I was lucky enough to also, because I've done some active shooter training, but not a lot. But one of my buddies, Tom, who's trained with me, we've been friends since like junior high, but he's also was a principal, and he's a superintendent of like 2 schools, major school districts. So he was able to kind of like, clean up that area of it from an administrator standpoint. And I was looking at it also from not only from a first responder standpoint. So it was nice that we were able to kind of like put that together and simplify it. And that came together really, really nicely. Yeah, man. So, it's funny. So like, if you notice, what's up?
It was interesting because it was longer than I thought it was going to be. Like, I didn't realize it was going to be that in depth. Like, it really is in depth.
It's 320 pages. Yeah, dude, it's a lot.
Like, I just it's because you see a lot of the books that are out there. It just, well, I mean, there's some ones that are pretty good length too. But I guess I didn't expect it to be that long. But it was, good read.
Right. And it's cool. Look, they let me do firearms. They let me do impact weapons, edge weapons. I got a blackjack in the book. You're like, Jesus Christ. People are like, what are, so people are like looking at this like, holy crap. They're probably expecting, typical grab my wrist kind of stuff, and there's not one wrist grab defense in there. I mean, there's a grab, but it's like all, the same shit. Yeah. It's funny. I'm like, but I was really I was happy.
Well, and it's interesting to think. I mean, to think, it's interesting to think all the years that I've known you, right, and all the training that we've done over time, and hearing you talk about it over and over and over, right? And I mean, it must be interesting to you because you're always talking about it, right? There's all like some wrist grab epidemic going on. Like we just, we make light of that situation, but then to actually go back and read what you put together, it must be a little bit interesting from your perspective too, to kind of see it that way.
Well, again, it was like going and really, it made me again a better teacher, because now I'm re-explaining it now, some decades later after I first learned it. So you're like, you get into it, and then you're like, holy shit, yeah, man, this is the way I would explain it better now. And this is also why like the workouts of the week too.
Yes, we were just thinking about that too. How it kind of, that review just kind of, it's like, holy shit, like, wow, a whole different perspective on it from,
right.
from years ago.
And it's like, when I originally filmed those videos, I was just like literally under duress. That was like right when Captain Crunch and I, split, and I went from making a lot of money to making like literally no money. And then, filming those videos and then getting them out to market, I'm like, holy crap. I think about that now. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So then just writing the scripts, bringing the production and shutting the dojo down for a weekend, filming 3 modules at a time, and like this shit had to get done. So when you're looking at the training modules, that is literally like do or die me.
Yeah.
So now, and those will always be the foundation because they're fucking great. And, but it's like now I can go back and like, okay, so let's take a breath. This is what we're doing. Like 15 years later and, running through them again. And you're like, yeah, okay. This is kind of like how I would explain this now.
It's almost like pretty soon those original videos will become like the old school. Like, you got the old school section in there, right? Pretty soon the original stuff will become like old school as we, have the newer stuff coming out, which is really fucking cool, actually.
And I like about, and, anyone who's on their platform, you got to watch the old school videos.
Yes. Yeah.
Like Carl explaining stuff. They're more of like lectures than actual training videos, which is, it's not like, I'm like, you'll see the techniques, but he's more explaining them and talking about, the concepts, not necessarily, hey, this is how we practice this is how we do this. Yeah. You'll do the, short edge of your hand, long edge of your hand, chin jab, and he explains it, but it's like one stream of consciousness. I recommend everybody watch those freaking things.
Yes.
Because they're gold. I mean, you could listen to them like a podcast. Yeah. You don't necessarily have to, look at them. I mean, you'll glance down. Look, it was shot in the 90s in the basement of the church where we actually trained, where I actually found this stuff. I mean, I tell that story and it's not a freaking lie. It was my buddy Kurt was like, hey man, what are you doing? I found this guy. He's teaching this stuff, the Fendu, and you got to come check it out. And so my brother and I went, and I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what I was looking for. We're starting from the interview stance, from the position of advantage. We're, not waiting for somebody to grab us because it's that motion that is setting us off once you establish distance. I'm like, this is what I saw when I was bouncing and working security and all the other shit that in my life that, was like, yeah, that's how a fight starts. Fight starts with guys talking shit. And then the mistake that guys make, especially the barroom bullshit, not talking about criminal stuff, that's actually not, it's different, but it all winds up, it's all about the same principles where, a criminal for most people, if you're, look like a hard target, again, unless you have a Rolex hanging off your wrist, like it's easier kind of to dissuade them. A bully and a blowhard, it's the same shit. But to me, the reason for fight, like, I guess the difference I'm trying to make is like, if someone's like some hard on, I just assume just avoid them.
Yes.
Rather than just kind of like letting my ego get into a fight over fucking nothing. So
exactly.
Like those, and this, I remember Carl like saying that way back when, and dude, and I was like 21, 22. So I'm like in the middle of doing exactly that fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, fuck that. I'll knock a motherfucker out.
Right. Exactly. I'm fucking looking at me, chest up. Welcome to Jersey, bitch. So, that was in my head. We would go out and get in trouble. It would be like, okay, if we didn't get in a fight, we didn't hook up, we fought each other. These are my friends. So, you're wrestling around with guys wrestling around with their shirt off at some quasi LGBTQ plus fucking, scene. But yeah, I mean, that would be it.
Typical Friday night.
Right. I remember coming down, my buddy, who, wind up being like, I could just come downstairs. I hear like a ruckus. And this is like after one of our like formal events. And when my buddy, who is like a real awesome professional now, he's got a shirt. It was a tuxedo shirt, but it was like unbuttoned and like hanging out of his pants, just wrestling people. So I'm like, all right, I gotta go get into this, and so I'm like into that, and then I'm sitting there. It's like because we're like, okay, it's like we're talking about scenarios. It's like a bar thing. He's like, I don't even bother with that. He goes, it's stupid. I'm sitting there thinking of, I'm like, yeah, you're fucking right. I'm worried about what more now. It's one thing if a guy comes up to you in a bar and you're like, okay, and you're trying to leave, and then he's trying to detain you. That's a different scenario.
Yeah,
that's not you chesting up, trying to get him to back down, and you guys huffing and puffing and doing all the other bullshit.
Yeah,
this is a fucking guy now trying to impede your way and restrain you, and essentially, if you want to get technical, kidnap you.
Yeah,
in a sense. So now that's a different fight. It's a different fight. Somebody coming up to you in the street and trying to get close to you and trying to get something from you that they want, that's a different type of attack. These are the attacks that I'm mostly concerned with. I mean, guys want to get in a fight in a bar. You want to chest up with somebody. Okay, understand. The guy who hits first wins. Go.
Yeah.
So
and I shout out to Rory Miller, who refers to that as the monkey dance, because it fucking certainly is a monkey dance, isn't it?
That's where it comes from, man. Swinging from trees and fucking, doing all that bullshit. Faux show. I mean, these guys, you're looking at this shit, and you're like, yeah, I mean, and this is what mostly people concern themselves with. And I love, like, when they talk about a sucker punch, right? And to them, it's a sucker punch is the person who throws first. In reality, there's no such thing as a sucker punch. I say this over and over and over again. I mean, Musashi said it best. He's like, it's most regrettable to die with your sword still in its sheath. I'm like, if some guy comes up and clips you from behind, right? That could be a sucker punch, but where did he come from? Are you not paying attention to your surroundings? Is he coming out of a puff of smoke? These guys are looking at you. If you're paying attention, they're still sizing you up.
Yep.
They're still following you. They're looking for the opportunity. 1, 2, you chest up with a guy, and he threw, that's it. Assume he's going to throw the fucking punch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's your fault for getting hit now.
Yeah.
Because you decided to enter into this range and allow him to throw the first shot. Period. Finito. So, there is no such thing as a sucker punch. There's the guy who struck first and the guy who struck last, and it's usually the same fucking guy.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, would you let Mike Tyson take the first punch? It's like, you don't know who the hell you're facing out there, some amateur boxer or somebody. I knew a guy like, holy shit, God rest his soul, had an awesome right hand. Maybe he lifted weights, maybe spent like, I think he got a yellow belt, and I think that made his street fighting worse.
It just makes me think of there's been a couple funny episodes of Big Bang Theory, but I think about Raj, right, the little fucking Indian guy who makes the comment about Chinese people. He's like, I wouldn't necessarily mess with Chinese people because they might know karate, they might not, but I don't want to take that chance. Right. Along those lines. I get it. It's like, but just circling back to where you're talking the old school for a moment and how everybody needs to watch that, and I agree 100%. Yeah. I gotta love the videos with Carl where it almost looks like he might be in a fucking cave in the middle of fucking Afghanistan, right? It's just dark dungeon.
Right. Like, but
holy shit.
That was the fucking church.
Was that the church?
Yes, I'm telling you that.
No. There's the part that has like the mats on the floor, which had Carl and that kind of stuff.
That was the
but
church.
Then there was the real dark fucking ones where he did like bare knuckle boxing and the
different section.
Was that the church too?
Different section. So you go down. So you went down in the basement. We got this he was doing a lot with some Paramus PD. And this is right when he got out of prison. So they set up, dummies, and then you can see in the walls, like, the sheetrock busted busted in from driving guys into it. You know, and it was really just doing these, you know, I mean, we had, you know, it was just whatever we were, you know, was doing that day, you know. I mean, it really wasn't until so round the story up. So Carl was teaching out of there. Then he started, my brother had a dojang, he was Taekwondo or whatever, a dojo for, you don't know, dojang's Korean, in Waldwick, so a couple towns over. So he started teaching combat jiu-jitsu there, and I started training with him there too, like once or twice a week. So he did that, and like Carl would like train, they would like get together for like maybe like a few times in a row, and then he would go disappear. You know, it wasn't like he was running a school or whatever. And I know he was a bagman for somebody who I never met. So he would go on runs and do these things. He had kind of had a construction company for a little bit, doing like odd ends, like earning like typical, like, you know, North Jersey kind of quasi gray area stuff, right? Like legitimate businesses. And then he'd go, oh, this guy, you got to do a pickup and go do that shit. So he was doing that. So, you know, it's like the training with him was, you know, awesome, but, you know, inconsistent. So, you know, I would, you know, get what he would do, and I would just train on my own because I had the dojo. I was teaching there. I was working out there. You know, I set up my own basement in my house. So I was doing all that shit, right? And then finally it came to a point where he had a falling out with my brother. So I think my brother was looking for some money for him renting the place. I don't know what the arrangement was, but then one day Carl just didn't show up. So I asked my brother, he goes, yeah, we just kind of had a falling out. He was going to, you know, he owed me some money for the time. So I'm like, oh, and I was fucking heartbroken because I'm like, shit, I'll never see this fucking guy again. So flash forward a few years later, my brother and I have a falling out. And I'm, you know, teaching. I reach out to the guy who introduced me to Carl in the beginning. His wife had a studio over in Emerson. I had the motorcycle shop at this time. So I would teach a couple nights over there. And then he wound up, you know, my buddy was like, hey, you know, Carl wants to talk to you. I'm like, oh shit, fucking cool. So I go down there and finally meet him. And now it's only been like maybe 4 years since I'd seen him. Maybe. I don't even think it was that much. Let me think. Say 93. So now, yeah, it was about 93, 96. Maybe about 3 or 4 years. So I hadn't seen him. Last time I saw him, he looked like the guy in the videos. Then when I saw him again, he looked like the guy in Operation Phoenix and Combat Jiu-Jitsu. Seminar series. So he dropped like 50, 60 pounds. He did not look well. No one was really training. You know, it was like him chain smoking in his house, and his wife went to work, and he was doing whatever. He was still going on runs and doing some shit. He was maybe like hitting the Makawara, you know. So after he left, he broke off with my brother. He did stuff for like maybe a year or two, and then his health just started going. I mean, he'd always like get videos and watch shit and read a ton of books about, you know, martial arts, religion, and, you know, anything that caught his interest. He was extremely intelligent, extremely well read. So I saw him, and I had I was teaching now. I had a place in Oakland, and I'd since started training in judo too. So I was in my mid 30s, started rolling around in judo. And then that's when I'm like, I see him and I'm like, holy shit. I go, this guy's going to die. And this knowledge is going to die with him because he's sitting here and nobody's fucking paying attention to him. So that's when I'm like, okay, man. So that's when we put together Tekken Jiu-Jitsu, which was supposed to be like the culmination of what he was going on. So the first part of it was the combatives. So, you know, then it had knockdown karate and judo. And then Daito-ryu Jiu-Jitsu. That was like the traditional element of it. The whole purpose was like, look, if an adult's going to come to us, most of them aren't going to train for more than 6 weeks. So if they do here, I'm going to give them the real shit that they need to know, that if they practiced it and they do it, they'd have a much better chance than if they walked in and I had them in a horse stance forever or teaching them break falls or arm bars.
Yeah, and for anybody who's new, this was basically essentially like the birth of the self-defense training system.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. So we started getting that down, and then I started implementing that syllabus and the training drills in Oakland, and then eventually moved to Pompton Lakes, and that's where you see the Combat Jiu-Jitsu series, Operation Phoenix, and some of the other, and the training system videos are all filmed in that dojo. So, and that's also when I started training with UNESCO, because I wanted to get my black belt from UNESCO in judo, and that's where I eventually got a second degree from him. So at least it was like I wanted to, like, literally, other than the prison part, model my training after what Carl did.
Yeah.
And that's what we did, and that's what Tekken Jiu-Jitsu was. But the reality was, it was like, honestly, the Aiki Jiu-Jitsu shit you could fucking get rid of. You know what I mean? It was cool from like, that samurai perspective and getting, connected to what's his name? Mayamaru Jiu-Jitsu, Tremont Ave in Brooklyn. I'm drawing a blank, but really famous jiu-jitsuka, American guy, like Hispanic. Shit. But anyway, so connecting to that, because Carl felt connection to that, and that was part of his life. The knockdown karate, Kyokushin style, that came from Kimura, not judo Kimura, karate Kimura, who was Yanni brought over, and he was teaching in the dojo with Yanni at there. There's also guys with with some Aiki, with some combat jiu-jitsu from Japan, but Carl got black belts from him, but didn't spend a ton of time with them. So it was really putting this all together in a system that, if somebody, our goal was this, it's like, look, if you want to learn how to defend yourself, we're going to teach you everything you need to know right away. Yes. Now, if you want to explore the sport aspect and the cultural fighting art aspect of martial arts, now you can continue and do the rest of the stuff. So basically the first 8 months to a year was like the combative stuff, right? And then beyond that, it's like, okay, let's do martial arts, right? So, if you wanted to compete, we did judo. If you wanted to, do the knockdown karate, we did some bogu stuff with the headgear, and I still have them, all that shit. And it was great. It was fun. But, most people, then what happened was, then I started with Captain Crunch and the videos, and it was a lot, from a business perspective, it was just a lot better and more scalable to, do the videos and then train with everybody once in a while, because then that's really kind of all you needed, exactly. Kind of like, look, if I get with this guy and I understand it, I get oh shit, okay, now I got the videos and I can watch. Yes. And continue to train, and then go back and continue to train. And then, so you don't have to be here all the time, where you're there 2-3 times a week, which is impractical for an adult. You're looking at like your family, it's like, look, you always have 3 things as an adult. You've got your health, your family, and your job, right? So one of those 3 things is always tugging at you. So occasionally, you may be able to pull away and get like 20-30 minutes to work out, for yourself, but you might not have, another hour to get down to the dojo and back.
That's right.
To do that, right? So you're like, okay. And then when you move, what the hell happens, right? You're like, all right, or started a new job, or, someone in my family is sick, or I can't fucking afford it anymore.
Yeah.
So really making this accessible is what we're all about. So that's where, that's kind of like how this whole thing started. And then, obviously the shit with, Chris that happened, that prompted me to kind of start this. And then he's like, I think he's doing like a kid million. I think he still has shit on Udemy. But now he's doing like kid millionaire thing. Wow. So I don't know, dude. He could be making $1 billion or fucking nothing. I don't know. It's hard to tell. And you never know that fucking guy. But my only question is, are his kids millionaires?
That's right.
Right? He's got like 4 of them.
But it's so interesting to think about where the start was, to like circle back now to the book, right? To just see how much has changed. Still remains the same though, right? Like,
right.
Just,
of course.
It's very
the core
cool.
Principles and everything, tactics are stone. They don't change.
Yeah.
Action is still faster than reaction. Balance and momentum, position and distance. I'm like, that's it. And do shit that hurts you less and hurts him more. Right. And the least amount of physical contact you can have, the better.
Yes.
Okay. I'm like, shit. So,
So now you're just sitting around fucking sipping cognac and fucking signing books.
Right. Exactly.
Was that do you have a fucking stogie in your mouth when you were fucking signing that book in that one video? I'm pretty sure you did.
Pipe. It was a pipe. It was a pipe.
I'm waiting for the Hugh Hefner fucking like the robe
and jacket's the best. The best.
Little SDC across the fucking front. And
yes, of course. So yes, so what do you got going on this weekend? Or didn't you have your fake Thanksgiving already?
Did my what now?
Didn't Canada have their Thanksgiving yet?
Yeah, we had a Thanksgiving already.
Okay, sure. Okay, yeah,
I think so. Yeah, no, your fucking Thanksgiving's coming up fucking on the 23rd, right?
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting all fucking confused with that shit now.
Yeah, it's bizarre. So yeah, my son's coming home Saturday morning for like a week, which is cool. Mm-hmm. My daughter's going to her boyfriend's in Texas. And then, I'm like part travel agent with this shit.
In fucking Texas, she's got a boyfriend from Texas. How does
second one from Texas?
Does Dad like the boyfriend from Texas?
I haven't met him yet. She goes to school in California. My wife did, and seemed nice. Look, at the end of the day, if she's happy and he takes care of her, that's kind of really all that fucking matters. It's like I'm not banging them.
Yeah, but now,
what I'm saying is like, that's what they got to work out, right? I'm like, I don't,
But so, when you do fucking meet him, you need to be wearing all the fucking, like in the video, like all the knives all over your whole fucking body. It just starts.
Right. Just he'll see me when I get ready to go out. People are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going out."
Like you go to fucking war. Yep.
You never know.
That's right.
It's like I pull out of my driveway, some asshole comes in and fucking clips me in the street. Next thing you know, I'm rolling around in front of my house. People realize like you're there. I mean, there's a chance it happens there. Yeah. Not because because you're there a lot. Right. So, when you get out of your element, there's a chance you can go into an area that you're unfamiliar with where there's a higher probability. But for the most part, man, I'm like, if you leave your house, you better be ready. So, I just, and especially if I'm, decide if like I'm carrying a firearm on top of that, because now you're not only carrying a firearm, you also, to use it, you also got to protect it.
Yep.
Which is, again, people think that, it's this relationship where the firearm protects you, but you have to protect it. Because if you get into it with somebody, and most of these people, look, dude, if you don't know how to fight or you don't have a plan, that if somebody gets in your face and puts their hands on you, before, it escalates fast, right? They come in, they get, hey, and they're like, holy shit. Yeah. And they're on you. You're going to have a chance to draw a fucking weapon. And now that weapon's in play. So, you gotta, have some, I don't give a shit how old you are. If you walk around with pepper spray in your hand, somebody starts with you and you fucking juice them and you go. Right. Yeah. So, that's where, these fucking, these people that, carry, and I see it because like, I'm part of this gun club, and it is the most useless people on the planet that have no clue as to how violence works. And most of them, I said last time, to the man, talk so much shit. And they shouldn't, most of these guys should be carrying a fucking firearm. And I will say, so I was there with a friend of mine who is, let's say, at one point in his life was possibly involved with the intelligence community.
Yeah.
Right. He admits this to this person as they're talking. And this person is in a leadership position in this gun club. The guy, not my guy, this guy, the person from the club, proceeds to talk about doing shit like using force against the government. And like some type of fucking, and then continues to elaborate on it.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm sitting there and I walk out with my friend and I look at him. I'm like, did I just hear this shit correctly? I'm like, I just watched a guy essentially confess to plotting to, obstruct the, do something against the government with violence, using a firearm. He's like, oh yeah. He goes, I could have a micro cam on me, record him, and the place could be shut down tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd say, fuck.
And every member could be like brought in for questioning. I'm talking like laptop seized, fucking Patriot Act shit.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, that is fucking 100% real. And imagine, local gun club plotting to fucking, take down the New Jersey government or take down the federal government, like January 6th shit. And you're like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Everybody, dude, what the fuck? What does it take for the fucking, for that evidence? Okay, this guy is holding this position in the club and this is what he's doing. What are they actually doing right here? We need your membership rolls. We need all your fucking shit. And they would just show up to my fucking house, take my fucking laptop and call it a fucking day.
Yep.
I'm like 80%, once we get, if this thing goes through, definitely once we get our place set up, I'm fucking resigning from that fucking place, and I may just do it anyway.
Yeah,
because I'm like, you're fucking, you're gonna, holy shit, it was so easy, so easy. He could have just been, and he identified himself as working for a 3-letter agency, not a fucking, he could have been a regular guy thinking about joining the club, and it probably would have been worse.
And that 3-letter agency wasn't KFC, right?
Could have been. But yeah, man, these fucking dudes, I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't, these guys, it's so easy, so fucking easy. And these are, your 2A, support our troops, MAGA hat wearing dudes. And you're like, yeah, man, didn't you fucking learn anything? What happened? I'm like, it happens all the time. Militia shut down in New Jersey. Local gun club, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, holy crap. And him taken out in cuffs and everybody else, okay, I want to, seize your fucking phone, seize your everything.
And if you're part of it, local self-defense author, look at that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Motherfucker. So yeah, kind of distancing myself from that place. I may rent it from time to time just for private use. Yeah. But for the most part, yeah, I wasn't really crazy active in it, but I'm definitely not going down when it's like open shoot on like Saturdays. Because like these dudes, yeah, thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah, fuck's sakes.
I'm like, yeah. So what do you got going on this weekend?
I was actually planning to go see family, but my mother's dealing with pneumonia right now, which is fucking wonderful on top of her condition. Yeah. So she's been having a little bit of like the labored breathing a little bit. Of course, they mentioned that to the fucking nurse. The nurse is like, "Oh, I'll mention it to the oncologist." The oncologist is like, "Come in for a fucking chest X-ray like the next day," and then they call her a couple hours after. Yeah, you got pneumonia. We need to get this dealt with like fucking tomorrow or like technically yesterday, right? Because that shit is serious when she's dealing with all the other
man.
Stuff.
I mean, that's what usually kind of wreaks havoc and does a lot of damage, dude.
So thankfully it was caught early. And yeah, they're putting her on a couple different prescriptions for it. And some interesting stuff. I don't know how like hearing aids and shit work in the US. I mean, I'm assuming you guys have to pay for all of that yourself. But my father went for a hearing test, so we're looking at getting some fucking hearing aids, and the government only pays a portion here, which I think is probably better than what you got going on, but still.
Yeah, we don't. I think we're SOL unless we have insurance for it.
Yeah, like, and that shit's not fucking cheap. Like my father's, retired, doesn't have a fucking pension because he was or a very small pension because he was, a business owner his whole fucking life, right?
Right.
So, and they're wanting like $3, $4, $5 for fucking hearing aids so he can hear. He's just like, motherfucker, I don't need to hear that bad.
Right, exactly. Most of the stuff I'm hearing is bullshit anyway.
That's right. So yeah, I probably won't go see mom now till that kind of just heals up a little bit. Weakened state, right? I was fucking, I don't know what the fuck I had last week, but I thought I was gonna fucking die. It's just stuff going around, right? Hits you for a few days.
I'm gonna tell you, so a company I'm starting to talk to, they manage influencers.
Yeah.
And talk to them, all of a sudden the fucking guy goes off the grid. And I'm like, what the hell happened to this guy? We're going, he was a nice guy. We had a good meeting, really cool guy. I'm like, so I'm calling the office. I'm like, there's no one there. I'm like, well, someone answered the phone. I'm like, hey, is so-and-so there? Like, yeah, let me forward you voicemail. So fucking gone. And I'm like, okay, it's a massive red flag. So I don't want to work with this guy. But then, I'm like, then I start obsessing with it. Now I'm like, I gotta see what happened.
I gotta know.
Finally, someone from his office went to the Tyson Fury and Ngannou fight.
Yes.
And brought something back. Like he said, it was COVID, but it could have been I don't know if it was or what. Maybe it was. But he guys, it wiped out the entire fucking office. For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks. Everybody was he's like, I couldn't even answer the phone. He's like, everybody was done and gone. So I was like, holy shit. I'm like, I thought you were dead or you figured out I was an asshole. So, either way, I'm like, I want to kind of see what the hell happened. I'm almost messaging this fucking guy on LinkedIn. So, it was that shit, there's shit definitely going around for sure.
Yeah. For me, it was, 3 days, I think 4 days max. But yeah, one day I just felt like last week I was like a fucking snot all over the fucking place and hacking away. It's like, Jesus Christ,
Right.
They're not going to love that on the fucking podcast. So,
so what else is going on?
Talk to a couple of new instructor candidates. Actually had a really good conversation with one of the guys that's out there, Dustin, if you're listening. We had a great fucking conversation, and I think he's going to be somebody who can bring a lot of fucking value to the instructor program. So we're going to be doing another follow-up real soon. I'm going to, regardless of whether he does become an instructor or not, I mean, he's an ex-cop, really great guy, get him on a fucking I'll get him on a podcast with us so we can have a conversation, because we ended up going on for about 45-50 minutes just on violence and stuff. He's got some great experience, some real-world experience. So yeah, that's what's been going on with that. Cleaning up the instructor locator. Guys, if you're listening to your instructors and you are not incredibly active or you haven't been, doing too much, don't be surprised if you see your listing gone.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way. If you're hiring somebody who is identifying themselves as a self-defense company instructor, please go to the list, email us, see if somebody's on there. We'll tell you exactly what their rank is and what their status is. Yes. And then Eric was great. He came by for some training, so hopefully we clean some that up, and he'll wind up, I think he's going for his level 1 with you shortly. Really nice guy. I'm like, I'm here. He's only like 30 minutes away. So I'm like, you know, just come over every once in a while. We can do some stuff. And that's it. So that's it, man. I am done. And everybody, thank you, George, as always. And everybody else, until next time.
Get the book.
Get the book. The link is below. Get the book. Until next time, get the book.